Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, and my friends, it is patch day for Mortal Kombat 1. So that means we have our latest DLC character, Ghostface. And we also have quite a few new goodies. We got lots of new costumes. We got classic costumes for Kitana and Melina for Mortal Kombat 2. We have holiday skins. We have Christmas color palettes. You know, things that are, good and festive for the season coming up. Wish some other companies would do some holiday skins. Have to wait on that. But yeah, we also have a pretty significant balance patch on top of everything else. Doesn't affect every single character in the game or anything like that, but for the characters it does affect. There is some very significant changes, so that's what we're gonna do in this video. We're gonna go through the patch notes, and you'll find those notes listed in the video description if you want to check out a link yourself. Yeah, all the little bug fix and all that, we're gonna pass those, but the significant changes we're going to cover, and let's start with some of the first changes. So let's start with Ashrah here. Ashrah got one change, but it's a really nice change. So you're probably well aware she's a somewhat stance-based character. We have light and dark stance, and the idea here is in dark stance you kind of build stacks, and then in light stance you can burn the stacks for extra damage. Lots of fun stuff, and of course some different moves, like her screen control is quite a bit better in dark stance because like the ground pound style move. And now for any given enhanced move, if you hold the stance switch button, you'll just automatically switch stances inside the move. Like no need to actually manually change your stance. So I could go for 4-2 rising EX upper into the usual combo shenanigans you can get from it, right? And if I hold stance switch during it, I can go into dark stance immediately. So just as an example, I do this, I go into dark stance, and now go into sword slices here, and I can build max stacks a debuff in the middle of the combo that started in light stance. Obviously not an optimal combo, but just to give an idea. So this just makes the thing she kind of wants to always do just a lot more realistic in match, because you're gonna be burning the bar anyways, right? Like, this is the game, and now while you're burning the bar anyways, you can just freely switch stance in the dark mode. Or conversely, if you are in dark mode, this also works in putting you back into light mode as well, right? So either way. But yeah, just free stance switches on stuff you're already going to be doing. So just awesome quality of life change. Now Geras is fun. So first up, smaller change, but a nice change. Redo, where you can kind of create the fake clone of himself with the home point. Redo now lasts quite a bit longer. It lasts 5 full seconds. It used to last only 3 seconds. So it's substantially longer. This move was always of limited use due to its short time frame. So maybe now that it lasts quite a bit longer, we'll find more of a home for it. I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that's cool in my books. But what's really cool in my books is you're probably well aware of the Geras command grabs. So Geras now has an EX command grab. Now the base command grab, the EX version, does do a little bit more damage. So it does 150 instead of 120. So that's nice. But here's the really, really big deal. Unlike the other command grabs, this new EX command grab is a mid. That means you cannot duck it. This is what makes command grabs good and say, older MK games when they're mids, that you can't just neutral duck it to circumvent it, right? So you cannot get around this by just ducking. So it's like Reiko's, I guess, EX, but his is 2 bars. This is only a single bar. And yes, you might notice the end animation is just slightly different as well, because this is a juggled OK state, and that means you can indeed call cameos after the fact and get just a little bit more damage in. So say normally we get the grab here and we'll call Goro in. Okay, that's a nice little bit of extra damage, right? Over 200 damage for a command grab, that's a mid, not bad, but of course, cameos being cameos and all the various gimmicks in the game being the various gimmicks of the game, you can get more advanced. We do happen to be Geras after all, right? That's something like if you got the clocks built up, this is something you can actually do, right? To get your mini super off. Now, don't go mistaking this for something that's even remotely optimal, because it definitely is not. But just an idea, right? That's an easy 300 plus damage. It's definitely something he couldn't get before, especially off a mid, right? That's the big deal here, off a mid. And now he's got a lot of options that just didn't exist before. Now Geras actually is a grappler, especially with, it being a mid. He can get you pretty friggin' far away, right? Like, the frames don't change. It is still the same startup, still under 20 frames. You'll be nabbing people with this. Also, Geras had a variety of tick throws where you can block the first hit, and I can still throw you with the next part, right? If you're actively holding block. Here's the thing about this, with this new change. So, like, all this tick throws still exist. Like, they're all still there. So that's cool, right? Like, you know, you get punished for blocking, as is an NRS grappler's design, right? The tick throw. The thing is, say you don't block, right? Like, you know, you don't block. It happens. It ruins your tick throw. That's also always been the design of, like, NRS tick throws. Is, if you block, I get the grab, but if you actually got hit, everything's kind of ruined. The thing is, this has a different, like, hit property, the EX, than the regular version does. So all of a sudden, this is a combo. This is a combo. So now this is a tick throw, and it is a combo starter, so it is both. So now basically, if Geras is willing to burn a bar, if you block forward 1 and you don't immediately jump, I don't know, man. Play around with it, I guess, but it's good. I'm a grappler guy. I'm here to tell you, as a grappler guy, this is good. Kitana has a small but interesting change. So she has a jumping string, jump 3-4. Just a big old flippy kick, 3 hits with it. And the thing is, the second part of this, the second kick before the third hit, is now special cancelable. So by itself, it's 3 hits, but if you special cancel the second hit, well, you can special cancel the second hit now. Which means, like, various shenanigans that were not possible as far as, like, aerial combo structure goes, now exist. So, as far as, like, new routes and all that, you're gonna have to play around with it. But there's literally potential and combo ability there that didn't exist before. Like, it straight up was not possible before. Now it is. So, basically good stuff. New routes. Play around, see what you can find. Lee May, air cartwheel. Now is substantially more advantage, like, on hit. If you get the knockdown, they're down for quite a bit longer. You can see here, when Reiko wakes up, 23 frames of advantage. Depending on how it hits, it can be a couple frames differential, but it's going to be like 20 plus frames of advantage, right? So here it is on this current build. Here it is what it looked like before the patch. As you can see, the frame advantage on hit was quite a bit less. So now they're down for like 10 plus frames more, which means basically, ideally, hopefully anyways, we should be able to figure out some new pressure setups. At the very least, just dash forward and just pressure them on their wake up. Not a huge change, admittedly, but it is nice quality of life. It is a strict buff to a nice, you know, decent gimmick for her, right? You know, most people aren't blocking this stuff on a reaction. It's hard. So just having better knockdown, a good splat on that, I think is pretty dang decent. Reiko, only 1 change, but it's a cool change. So 4-2, you know, the big old swingy overhead. Before the patch, if you recall, you hit it, just a big old splat out. You know, the overhead was its own reward. It was all right, right? And now it's better. So here's what it looks like now if you smack them. No more splat out. You see, they kind of fall to the ground in a different weird way. What does this mean exactly? Well, since they're not immediately splatted, they're still counting as airborne. And funnily enough, even though they're almost barely on top of the ground already, right? They're not quite there. Gives someone like Goro the ability to pop you back up. And now before that humble little overhead, you know, it got its damage in, but now you can get actual combo potential. Maybe it's not gigantic, but you know, I'm sure you'd rather get, you know, almost 25% rather than just 9%, right? And hey, maybe with the right cameo, we can actually get some really messed up damage. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, so, you know, perfectly all right move. Part of the Reiko move set for sure. And now you just have combo ability where you never had combo ability before. Just strict sizable buff for Reiko. Now, Smoke's got some fun stuff here. So, we have Vicious Vapors. That's his, you know, smoke teleporty style move. He can now do it while in the air. And that is significant. So 1, it just gives you another thing to do in the air. The move counts as an overhead. And you can do it while jumping backwards. So you can, like, you know, do neutral, jump backwards, and come screaming back in on their head, right? So at bare minimum, just a new move, that's good. Here's where it gets even better than just a new move. For one, just like the base Vicious Vapors, you can cancel the move. You do not have to commit to the attack. So as an airborne attack and an overhead, people can up block it, right, if they smell it coming. And then you can just say cancel it, and while they're up blocking, you chuck them. That cut and that dry. So it's another basic layer of mix-up. So it's really powerful in that way. Also, when used as a combo, it causes a ground bounce. And you absolutely can combo from that ground bounce. So it will remain to be seen what the new optimal combos are going to be. But that is literally just a new option you never had before. Also, in a fun little gimmick here, the enhanced version just forces a restand. It is a restand you can combo from. So you can just like dash forward and just keep your combo going. But instead of having a juggle combo, you will land with a new grounded combo. And so just across the board, there's going to be a lot of new shenanigans that are going to be possible. And speaking of shenanigans, here's a fun one. Back to his old leapy stab overhead. Now, while he's in the air before he commits to the attack, he can cancel this into air special moves. So he can go this into that new Vicious Vapors attack. So this is an overhead. That's an overhead too. But remember, one, since it's done here, you know, as a base hit, does ground bounce the enemy. So that's just more than that little stagger you get. Also, as mentioned before, you can absolutely cancel it. So here comes like the ultimate throw gimmick, right? I come in from like, you know, screaming across the screen because back two is a very silly move. And then I did no actual attack and you just got thrown instead. So the gimmicks are there. And of course, this is any air special, right? So like air teleport. You absolutely can cancel back to the startup into air teleport. So it being visually confusing, to say the least, for sure. So new moves, a bunch of new gimmicks from the new move, new combo routes. Existing move now has its gimmick potential just really brought up to the max. If you like smoke, you're gonna like this patch. Now, Homelander, lots of bug fixes in the patch notes, in the video description, want to check it out. But the big thing here, just Ford 4. Ford 4 is now a mid, not a low. Now, it's not to say you can't still special cancel it, you can't like do a bunch of shenanigans. It is still a very dominant mid because it eats up a lot of real estate on the screen. That's part of the reason why it was so strong. But at least now you can stand block it, right? So it's still going to be good. But now as a mid, just compared to it being a low, it's a bit more down in the ground of reality. Only real change, didn't cripple them, but we'll start somewhere. Wait, Sub-Zero in a balance change video? What's going on? I know, I'm scared too. What's going on? Sub-Zero got buffed? Yeah. Weirdly enough, 400 years later, Sub-Zero got some buffs. So first off here, before we talk about anything else, clones. So clones, first regular clone and enhanced clone now last longer. For regular clone, it's a few frames longer. It's 30 frames longer, so about half a second longer. So it's not still a lot. The enhanced version lasts 100 frames longer, which is over a full second longer. So in comparison, here's the current build, and here's the old build for EX Clone. As you can see here, like it doesn't feel like tons of time, but it's definitely noticeable, right? The clone's out there for longer, and the base clone's out there for longer too, although just not as much. Now here's something else, it's a different slide. Sort of works like the old days. Now slide, as you're noticing here, kind of pops the enemy up, and you may be thinking, and yes, you are right, this is absolutely a thing you can do now, right? After clone, because now we pop them up, we can shove them in the clone, and then, you know, Bob's your uncle, do whatever combo you want. The old slide's still there, all you have to do is hold the button. So basically, you know, back forward 3, hold 3, and then you'll just do the slide as it's been since the launch of the game. So the option's still there, and the newer slide doesn't do quite as much damage, but, you know, it has the flip property, right? So now you have just more options. If you want that damage, it's still there. It didn't go anywhere. But if you want some of the utility of the flip over, that is there now too, especially with clones lasting longer. Threat of a random slide can just be that much more scary because, well, you jump in the clone, and then you just combo out from there. Here's another fun thing. They relax the rules of clone, so if you have clone up and someone's already frozen, clone can still refreeze them. So if a situation occurs where like this happens, you will get the double freeze. It will allow that now. It probably won't come up terribly often, but it is now something that will work. And on that note, enhanced clone got way better. It's still 2 bars, it still ain't cheap, but the clones last a lot longer for one. So here is a side-by-side. This is the new build versus the old build. You see here, they last a lot longer, and the third one's out there for the longest. And each one of these clones freezes by themselves. So the combo structure you can build with this now, you can get like 3 freezes per combo or more, 4 technically, right? We're gonna have to figure out some new optimals. Once again, you know, it's still 2 bars, right? Like it ain't cheap, but you definitely now own the screen for the duration, right? Like any stray slide can turn into like a combo video highlight reel. Like we're going to be able to figure out a lot of new things. So that's really, really cool. Sub-Zero actually got something. You know, will it be enough to put him top tier? Almost certainly not. But one step at a time, right? Each patch gets the game a bit closer to where it needs to be. And for Sub-Zero, positive changes are very welcome. Now Cyrax. Cyrax is already starting to Cyrax, right? Hasn't been here too long, and yet now Cyrax is making us relive the old days, and not by choice. But yeah, so the big thing here is some of these things got changed. So, like say back 2. Back 2 is still very good, but now here, if the move gets up blocked specifically, the second part of the attack just no longer triggers. So that means, you know, no additional hit stun, or rather block stun. So you are just really negative on block. You're definitely going to get the punish. So if you make the right call, you up block it, you will get your reward, and you get to beat Cyrax up. That and back 1, the throw. So back 1 now has more recovery on whiff. So if for whatever reason the throw just doesn't connect, like you jumped it, or you were just not in the way for whatever reason, more recovery, more of a chance to bop Cyrax on the head. Besides that, yo, bombs are still bombs. Ain't nothing changed on that front, but at least some of the particulars are a little bit easier to survive now. Noob Saibot, similar to Reiko. So 4-3, the overhead, now has a new hit animation. Before, it was a splat out, and now has a little bit of a bounce. So like the example we use for Reiko, like say Goro is a really good, easy example here. If you get the call, you get the overhead, you can pop them, you can recombo. Pretty much that cut and dry, right? So, not revolutionary necessarily, but you now just get more than the base 90 damage. You can now get, as long as you're willing to invest in bar, right? You can get a decent combo, probably like 200, maybe 300 if you're pushing it damage. So it just makes the threat of the overhead that much scarier. Hey, and now let's talk some cameos. So we already have Goro, so let's talk Goro first. The throw. So the throw has been changed for the recharge rate, and now recharges faster than it did before. Hopefully, if I did this right, we got a little bit of a spicy on the footage. It's not worlds faster, but it is, I would say, noticeable faster. So now Sareena got an all-new move. I remember the days of Sareena back when, you know, the game launched, and everyone said Sareena is absolutely the best character in the game for cameos. Like, no one else comes close. And I got crucified for saying she's not that good, especially when, you know, pre-patch Cyrax, pre-patch Lao, pre-patch Striker. And I'm like, these are the good ones. And, well, regardless, history vindicated me more than enough on a lot of different games. Anyways, we got a new move. So, hey, you might remember, you know, puddle, right? Drain the opponent's bar, all that kind of stuff, make them do less damage. Now your puddle is down in the cameo button, and now you gain bar and you do more damage. So let's take, you know, base uppercut, right? Base uppercut 140. If we got puddle on us, base uppercut, now 161. It's a decent damage buff. Like, on any move, like, Loci from Merlin is normally 60. We got this up here, 69. I'm sure it's going to benefit the most if we can find a way to, like, get extended combos in the corner with this, like, live the whole time, getting, like, the damage buff going. Will remain to be seen, like, the more optimal routes on that. Also, the meter gain is no joke. Like, the damage buff is, I would say, decent as it is. Look at the meter gain here. you gain meter, I would say, at a very respectable rate for what it is, right? She will basically give you just about a full bar if you are just stuck in place for the duration, right? And the recharge rate on this is not bad either. So I think this is a very real, very usable move. Like if your character is either somewhat stationary as you're fighting, or even just a little bit more meter hungry, this is like an ambush call after all. So you can be like doing whatever while she calls in and just starts giving you free meter and free damage. This is nice. Like, you know, the core kit, people like it. It's really easy to use, right? And adding this on top, you know, the meter drain aspect of the character. Sareena is a character with a lot of utility now. Like, maybe give her another shot. Like, I like this. I think this is actually pretty real. At bare minimum, it just gives you something always to do, you know? When you have meter drain up on the opponent, you can't control the opponent. Like, unless you got them locked down in the corner specifically with whatever setup, you don't control them. You control yourself, however, right? So you can make sure you're in place to get the maximum benefit of the damage bonus and the meter gain. So play around with it. Hey, you might like it. Kameo Sub-Zero now has a new hit reaction off the cold shoulder. Now, as a summon, it doesn't matter too much. But when then off the ambush call, and you can still freely move around, it basically means there's a little bit of combo ability there now, right? So, you know, Kameo Sub-Zero is useful in all the usual ways. But again, just like some of the overheads we talked about for some of the other characters, just giving a bit more combo ability in situations that never really existed before. So finally, we come to Frost. A while ago, they added the wall, right? And the wall basically becomes like the new end of the stage, at least for a temporary time. And I think it's a really cool concept, you know, bare minimum reducing the ability for the enemy to run away, right? And now, with her like neutral call, she can detonate the wall. So normally neutral call, it hits, it's a mid. It's actually pretty decent, really. Like it's a summon, yes, but it's also a plus on block summon, so I don't know, it works. But now, if you do it while the wall is near, it becomes just a straight up full-on launcher. Also, you can cancel the wall call into the detonation as well. So you don't have to do one, then wait for her to leave, then do the other. Like, it will take the entirety of the Kameo bar, yes, but you can do both at once. At bare minimum, it also can turn the neutral call into an ambush call, which means, like this scenario here after Xiao's knee, you can get weird hit effects you normally couldn't out of Frost, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, big juggle. I don't need to sell you on a gigantic launcher. You can kind of figure out what you need to do with that, right? Once again, just another good quality of life buff for Frost. She's been getting a good amount of these. They want Frost to work, basically. They're going to keep giving her buffs till something sticks. And I think this is a really cool quality of life just change for the character, giving her an all new option like this. So interesting patch for sure. Now, Mortal Kombat, for the last good while, every single patch just makes the game better and better and better. There has not been a bad patch in a while. There's, you know, maybe some interesting choices for, you know, how strong you want certain characters to be, right? And now we have Ghostface turn at bat, so we'll see how he plays out. But yeah, every patch has been making the game better and better and better, and makes me excited for the future, because they seem to have the game on the right path. We got lots of buffs, lots of interesting buffs to just make the game more fun to play. And if this is the path going forward, hey, I'm all for it. That said, my friends, that is the patch overview. Once again, the full patch notes with all the other little details like bug fixes are there in the video description if you want to check it out. Don't forget, we also have the new replay takeover mode. It's a very, very handy feature. It will make you a better player, trust me. You can go into your old replays and just basically take over and just create new scenarios. You know, the mix-up you didn't block, now you can try to block it correctly, learn how it all works. It's the good stuff, trust me. That said, though, my friends, that is the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Mortal Kombat.